Welcome to Baz Travels. After driving 14,826 kilometers through 24 states and Washington, D.C., I've seen rocket launches to the Grand Canyon and Hoover Dam. I've explored Route 66, ghost towns, deserts, snow, and beaches on both coasts. From Vegas casinos to Alcatraz, the White House to Hollywood. Join me for a journey of the ordinary and the extraordinary.
Loading destination. Simulation starting in 3, 2, 1. To look around, move your phone or tablet. Click and drag if on a computer or move your head if using a VR headset. Please like and subscribe.
We're now at the Mueller-Schmidt House, the large mansion displayed here at the Boot Hill Museum, and it represents a very different side of Dodge City. Most people associate the frontier with temporary buildings, wooden storefronts, simple boarding houses, and fast structures. But as the town stabilized, the money began to concentrate. Some residents built permanent homes that reflected long-term success. Houses like this were a signal. The boom wasn't only passing through. Wealth was being converted into property, comfort, and status. A mansion also tells you something about the local economy. Dodge City's reputation was shaped by cattle, rail, and trade. But the real transformation happened when those industries produced dependable income for merchants, professionals, and owners. When people can invest in a home of this scale, it suggests predictability, regular cash flow, access to skilled labor, and reliable supply chains for materials and furnishings. This type of house required far more than money. It required planning. You needed builders, carpenters, and specialists who could deliver consistent workmanship. You needed access to brick, timber, glass, and hardware, and the transport networks to bring them in. In a developing town, that infrastructure is never guaranteed. So the existence of a house like this is evidence that Dodge City had moved beyond improvisation. Look at what a finished home implies in a place that recently depended on rough construction. Rooms are set out for specific purposes rather than being forced to do everything at once. Furniture can be purchased rather than built from scraps. Kitchens can be stocked reliably. Heating, lighting, and storage can be improved. Even simple details like quality windows, solid doors, or decorative trim depend on supply and skilled hands. It also shows social separation. While many workers lived in crowded rooms or temporary quarters, wealthy families could afford privacy, space, and stability. That difference shaped daily life. It influenced education, healthcare, social networks, and the way people experienced the town. Frontier life wasn't one shared experience, it was a spectrum. And that spectrum affected power. People with property and capital had influence. They could finance businesses, support civic projects, and shape the direction of the town. They were more likely to appear on records, more likely to be remembered. And more likely to be portrayed as founders or leaders, while thousands of labourers remained anonymous. What's important is that this house sits within the museum's wider story. It balances the Main Street buildings and the cemetery by showing what the town could become when it matured. It reminds you that Dodge City wasn't only a place of risk and instability, it was also a place where some people built careers, accumulated capital, and expected the future to continue. So when you look at the Mueller-Schmidt House, don't treat it as an odd exception. Treat it as evidence. Evidence that the frontier phase ended, that the economy produced winners as well as survivors, and that Dodge City developed layers, working spaces, public spaces, and private spaces, just like any other growing American town, with real ambition and permanence built into it.
Simulation terminated. Please comment, like and subscribe.